living in Minnesota,
What have
Colorado.
you realized? Okay.
The actual campers, like
Yeah.
people who go camping and like, I'm gonna go hike at 14. They don't go to REI. REI is for people who sit in their basements, who want to look like they do outdoor stuff, like you.
Yeah, thank you for like at least not beating around the bush about it. So where do
Look
people
at this
who really hike
canteen
go?
that I got. It's metal, screw it, and I drink water like a. Oh, yeah. Those things break down. They won't screw on if you take them out into the wilderness, right? Like they get rained on once, they'll just disintegrate. Like
I
everybody
don't think
knows
that's
this.
how that works.
Everybody knows. If you get anything at REI, everybody knows. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. You hike mountains, sure you do.
Listen, I live in Iowa. There's just not an ample opportunity to hike mountains.
I'm sure there's some equivalent to hunting, right? Where you've got the commercial hunting store that everybody loves,
Mhm.
but
Cabela's.
but a single hunter won't actually go there, like a legit
See, that's not
hunter.
true. No, because hunters love Cabela's.
Why? So I didn't say it's Cabela's. You said Cabela's.
Well, that's the hunting store. Like they have like dead animals that have been like not lobotomized, taxidermied, and stuck there. I don't know why I went there either.
Well, they've probably been the
One takes stuff out, one puts stuff in.
Right.
I
I mean,
guess.
you've taken the brain out. That took.
Otherwise, it'll smell. Yeah, that's fair.
Right.
Do you remember in Scrubs when they had a dog that was taxidermied and they just kept it?
I do. Yeah.
That's glorious.
That was funny. Was there another TV show or movie about something like that? I don't know. There was Weekend at Bernie's.
That's different.
It wasn't quite the same thing.
It's also not a recommendation to be made.
No.
In this particular podcast.
No, it's not. It's bad.
Should we talk about the Gospel of St. Mark instead?
That's probably a better thing to talk about.
All right, we left off working our way through chapter 9. We were over halfway through this book. Only, 18 episodes in?
I don't know. You're the one keeping track. You're going to drop these things in June, right?
That's the plan. Yeah, except like you say this now, but this is the one that won't hit till fall, so.
Yeah. Well, what are we in? We're 18 in?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. So this will hit in sure?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So anyway,
about October. Yeah.
when they came to the disciples, they saw a great crowd around them and the scribes arguing with them. And immediately all the crowd, when they saw him, being Jesus, they were greatly amazed, and they ran up to him and greeted him. And he asked them, "What are you arguing about with them?" And someone from the crowd asked him, "Teacher, I brought my son to you, for he has a spirit that makes him mute. And whenever it seizes him, it throws him down, and he foams and grinds his teeth and becomes rigid. So I asked your disciples to cast it out, and they were not able." And he answered them, "O faithless generation, how long am I to be with you? How long am I to bear with you? Bring him to me." And they brought the boy to him. And when the spirit saw him, immediately it convulsed the boy, and he fell on the ground and rolled about, foaming at the mouth. And Jesus asked his father, how long has this been happening to him? And he said, "From childhood. And it has often cast him into fire and into water to destroy him. But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us." And Jesus said to him, "If you can, all things are possible for one who believes." And immediately the father of the child cried out and said, "I believe, help my unbelief." And when Jesus saw that a crowd had come running together, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying to it, "You mute and deaf spirit, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again." And after crying out and convulsing him terribly, it came out, and as the boy was like a corpse, so that most of them said, "He is dead." But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. And when he had entered the house, his disciples asked him privately, "Why could we not cast it out?" And he said to them, "This kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer." This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. Two things. This is, I think, my favorite section in Mark. Yeah, also, your genuine bonded leather Bible makes you look like a legit pastor. Almost as if you're not sitting in jeans with bare feet right now.
You're bald.
You got me.
All right. So, no, why is this your favorite?
Well, there's just so much that's going on there that can be comforting, but there's so much that's going on there that still leaves a lot to be questioned, right? So uh, there's coming down the mountain from Mount of Transfiguration, right? Is that an Alice in
Hmm.
Chains song? Coming down the mountain, I think so. Um,
Let's go tell it on the mountain. That's
no,
not Alice
no.
in Chains.
I'm gonna send the song that
That'd be
is
a
in my
good
brain
cover.
to you, so you
That
know
would
it.
be a good cover.
But
Okay.
no, Allison's chains doing go down on the
Can you
mountain.
imagine?
Oh, that would have ended. That would have ended the grunge scene immediately.
We've done everyone some good then. Um,
Okay, but so you got the transfiguration thing, right? So they don't understand that the three disciples have no clue what happened in the Mount of Transfiguration. Jesus says, "Yeah, you don't. So don't say anything. Be quiet."
right.
Right. Um, and then they come down and immediately they see what's happening here, right? Right. They close to something else happened last week, right? I don't know. But they see what's happening here. You got all the rest of the disciples who are down there, whether it's just the other nine or, the nine and the other concentric circle around those disciples, but they're all down there waiting. And all of a sudden they can't do what they used to be able to do. And
Hmm.
then you got this dad who's saying probably the most simple thing ever said, which
Mm.
is awesome. Uh, and then and then you got Jesus saying the weirdest thing. So I
All things are
guess all I
possible.
have to do is if I come across a demon, just pray and I'm good, right? Guess it's how it works.
You have definitely made this my favorite thing with that description there.
Good.
No, I mean this to me this one hits really hard as a father. I can't imagine sort of the frustration that he's had if you have a kid who is chronically ill, and that he's demon possessed, that he foams at the mouth, that it has thrown him into fire, into water, and like I've done everything, would try anything to help to save, and none of it's working, and I can very much sort of see that frustration that doesn't go away.
Yeah. No, I get it. It also harkens back to the Syrophoenician woman
Hmm.
earlier, right?
Yeah.
You've got a mom whose heart is breaking for her daughter, and will do anything, including crossing social taboo lines to try and save her. We got a dad who's got the same issue with his son.
Hmm.
And there's something to be said. I mean, when you've got that, it's dad and son. It's when you start having kids and you're unable to do anything, even when it's just a common cold and the kid's just miserable for the night, and like in 3 days this is going to be
Hmm.
gone.
Right.
But when you got this chronic thing that since his birth this has been happening, ugh, yeah, and then you're just helpless, and you as your vocation of dad, you can't do what you've been tasked to
Hmm.
do.
Right. So like this is what's wrong, but like what do you think this chiefly teaches about? Because like I've got a hunch that I know, but I would rather hear it from you and see if I'm wrong.
Oh well, that doesn't. Whatever I say doesn't mean you're wrong. But nah, I'm just gonna go Sunday school answer. Jesus.
No.
I think this is Jesus that is all over this thing, right? And the Jesus that, because it's so weird, like the Transfiguration kind of cuts the Gospel of Mark in two in such a way
Mm.
that uh,
It's
what
in the middle
happened
of it. Yeah.
what happened earlier, the first half. Um, there's a little bit of a different thing, right? So Jesus is out all over the place, and he's meeting people, and everybody loves him, and he's given the apostles authority to do certain things, and he's preaching and teaching and healing and doing all of these amazing things. And then he goes up to Mount of Transfiguration, where it's looking like, yeah, it's just been this roller coaster ride of just more and more glory. Just look how awesome everything is. And then he gets on top of there, and it's so bright. It's glory times a million. And then from there on out, it's all going
Right.
to the cross. It's all going to the cross. It seems to be like this downhill thing, all to the cross. And I don't know. It does. I don't think you have any more of these like mass healings. You've got individual healings, but
Sure.
like you don't have Jesus stayed up for 24 hours healing everybody who came to him type thing. And a
Mhm.
lot of the times you have this when healing happens from here until the end of the gospel. It's like Jesus is like, all right, come on, let's go over there where there isn't anybody. I'm gonna do that. It's almost like he's switching his perspective, or wants us to switch our view on what's happening. Um, just when we were ready, or just when the disciples had kind of understood this whole like, oh my goodness, miracles galore, this is awesome. And then it's like, yeah, something new is here. We're gonna have some cross and passion narratives, and I'm gonna say some things that make you kind of cringe, and then I'm gonna die.
You're uplifting. No, but this is actually one of those places where it's Jesus outwardly says something that like if you take it with no context is almost as uplifting as it gets. Like if you were just going to highlight all the sort of positive energy verses in the Bible, all things are possible for one who believes seems like it would probably make a pretty good bumper sticker. But Jesus says it to people who are desperate for help and have tried and are struggling and like are going to the right places,
Yeah,
but it's not working anyway.
yeah,
Like
like he doesn't, like dad hasn't tried everything and
right, like
doesn't
you really think
believe.
that he hasn't been driven to prayer, and like who does he go to as soon as everybody comes on the scene? As soon as the characters, the disciples and the Lord come onto the scene, he rushes to them. Like he knows who they are. Do you really think he's just never ever prayed before? Oh, I should have thought of that. You're right.
Yeah, no, I'm not exactly sure where you're going to go with that, which is fine.
Well,
Um,
Jesus says that this kind can only be driven out by prayer. The disciples were praying. The man was praying. These were the faithful, and all things are possible for one who believes. Doesn't seem to be working, and so
well,
maybe we mean this. We're taking this wrong.
I don't think the disciples were praying.
You don't think so?
No, I
Okay.
think that's the issue. I think,
Okay.
well, not for dad, but for the disciples, I don't think they were praying, and I think that's kind of what's being shown here from
Okay.
their perspective, because I don't think they understand uh, the entirety of what the gospel is. They don't understand what Jesus is saying. This is Jesus telling the apostles, the disciples, right? Peter, James, and John, who were on top of the Mount Transfiguration.
Hmm.
You don't get this. You don't understand. Don't talk about it until I explain it to you, which is going to be after my death and resurrection type thing, right?
Sure.
Um, but so you see that happening there. I think the same thing is happening at the bottom of this mountain. I also, I'm not smart. I read this somewhere. I also think that um, it's a little less than ironic that you had this big theophany, big word. I don't know if I used it right. On top of this,
What does this word mean?
on top of the mountain, right? This big, huge God experience on top of this mountain,
Okay.
which was terrifying, and
Hmm.
actually made the disciples kind of cover their faces, and it was right. And what was happening at the bottom of the mountain? You kind of had some disciples, I think, going rogue a little bit,
Hmm.
trying to say that they were doing things in the name of God, which I don't think they were. I.e., does that sound like anybody else? Moses and Aaron, right?
Okay. Okay. So you got a
Um,
golden calf moment down here.
I think you've got a golden calf moment, and just because they didn't craft this out of gold, I think they've got an idol. I think the idol might be themselves. I think.
So, oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I was just saying. I think the idol of these disciples who are not able to cast out these demons, they're no longer looking right. Earlier, I think it was chapter 6, and I might be getting that wrong. It was
Mhm.
the first half of this where Jesus sends them out. Right?
Right.
He
To
sends,
cast out demons.
yeah, to preach, teach, and to cast out demons.
Hmm.
Right? But I think that is it ends there until Acts. So
Mm.
you've got this apostolic thing, this apostle sending them out word and language, right? He sent them out. And that's that Greek language of doing that. He's sending them out to be apostles in this time, and he's giving them this authority to do that. And
Mhm.
then they come back and they're just like, we told demons to get out. They did. It was just
They
amazing, right?
listened, yeah.
Yeah, okay, this is awesome. And then then Jesus is like, okay, good. You got a couple more years in the seminary. You're not quite a pastor yet. So pull back the
Vicarage is
reins.
done, but we gotta chill. Yeah,
Right,
okay.
exactly. Pull back the reins. You got a couple things to learn. And so I think at this sense, notice they're not apostles here. They're not sent ones.
They're the they.
They're disciples, which is
Mhm.
great, but they're people who are sitting there learning still.
Okay.
Um,
So
I was going to keep going, but
no, go ahead.
okay. No, I've been talking way too long.
I'm struggling. So finish it out, and then I wanna address it.
Anyway, I think the apostles, sorry, disciples here, are looking at themselves. Yes, we were able just 6 months ago on Vicarage, we were able to do these awesome things, and now I can't. Why can't I? Why don't I have the power to do this
Hmm.
anymore? This is just so confusing. Where did the power go? Because it was in these fingers just a while ago.
Hmm.
Um, and I think this is Jesus' whole thing of saying, yeah, you're looking at the wrong. You've made a golden calf. You're looking at the wrong thing. I'm no longer in the picture. You're not looking to me.
I completely agree and disagree at the same time.
Well, you're
So
wrong.
probably. So let me at least explain why I'm wrong. I do believe they're making an idol down here, but I think the idol isn't themselves. I'm pretty sure they're making an idol out of prayer. And that as Jesus is sort of allowing them to struggle with this, it's to recognize that prayer isn't sort of an economic exchange. It's not a place where you sort of cash in your Jesus points for the prize that you really want. Because the disciples were casting out demons before. And I don't think that they were doing it differently. I think that they were probably taught to do this the same way that Jesus taught. If it worked before, the casting out of demons, even as it happens today, is done in word and sacrament. It wasn't different before. We don't have a God who changes, and so for us, your baptism is an exorcism. It actually used to be an explicitly stated part of the rite way back when, but it was depart all ye unclean spirits and make room for the Holy Spirit. The large catechism says that the devil cannot abide where the word of God is called upon from the heart. We sort of reckon with this idea that exorcisms happen all the time by God's word. The problem happens when we want to be the driver of the verbs, when we want to be the ones in control of it, and we want to sort of fancy up the exorcism and really let prayer be our work to God. Because you have to contend with the fact that you're right. There's people whose prayers didn't work, and there's lots of things that we sort of do to justify why prayer doesn't work. And I think that this text is one of my favorites because it almost picks apart every single one of them. Like, do you have to be the right person to pray? Like, is the prayer of an apostle better than the prayer of the least of these who repents? Um, do you need a lot of people to pray? Does the prayer chain work? Either if you're a Roman Catholic and you call on, Saint Bartholomew, or if you're a
No, that
Baptist and you
doesn't
call on
work.
your grandma.
No, that
Um,
doesn't work.
Oh, so does like Jesus sit in heaven and only listen to the popular kids? Like every single thing that we try to do to justify our prayer, do you really need to mean it? Do you need a lot of people to pray? Why isn't it working? I love this text because in every single place, you're exactly right. It leaves out Jesus as the doer of the verb, and there you get to reckon with prayer is not actually you doing stuff and then God responding, but rather prayer is comfort in the fact that you're reminding yourself of God's promises, of the things he's already doing. Your catechism lays this out too. Like, what do you need to do to bring about daily bread? God gives daily bread to everyone, even evil people, without our petition. But we pray in this petition that we would be led to realize this and receive our daily bread with thanksgiving. Jesus cannot but vanquish the devil. This is why he's here. He cannot but cast out the demons to the faithful. This is what he's doing. The issue is that they're convinced that their prayer can do it apart from him.
I think we might be in the same
I think so.
in the same ballpark. I'm not convinced that they were praying.
Hmm.
Not Dad, but the disciples. Just because Mark doesn't explicitly say that, nor does he say nor does he give that to us earlier when they do have this authority over the demons. So I don't know. And again, maybe Mark's smart in doing that so that he's not giving us some sort of recipe that we think if we follow it correctly, it's going to work. And
That's what we want prayer to be, though.
right. And so that all very well could be there. I think in the end, it's however you're getting there or I'm getting there. I think we're getting to the same spot ish that Jesus is forgotten about here.
Right.
Right. That's the whole issue for the disciples. We're not talking dad, and we should probably get to dad at some point in this, but Jesus is forgotten about. And so from my perspective, again, I think what Jesus says, yeah, this sort of stuff, these sort of demons cannot be cast out except by prayer and something else, right? Is that it?
Prayer.
Just prayer?
That's it. Anything but prayer.
Is it somewhere
Nothing
else
else.
that says fasting?
No, anything that
I
cannot
know,
be driven out
but
by anything but prayer.
isn't there another gospel that says the same thing? Like, I don't know. I thought you always heard the fasting thing. Maybe that's
I've
a
heard
different.
Isn't the fasting thing in Acts?
I don't know. We're not good pastors. But
Just don't fast. It's good
no,
bodily
that we don't
preparation.
know this. That's all. I fast all the time. No. So
Okay.
anyway, my point. I don't know what my point was. Go ahead.
We have a system set up where we want prayer to be a one-to-one exchange, and in all of it, though, prayer is simply being near Jesus and His promises, running towards that, and in all of it, the frustration of the man who cries out, and this is the part we both want to talk about. I believe, help my unbelief. It's a recognition. You cannot allow this to be your one-to-one exchange. Prayer is not about cashing in your Jesus points by really meaning it or getting a lot of people to pray or really, really believing or any of these other things, because at best we're going to be struggling, because I do believe, but if all things are possible for one who believes, like, this is simple math. Like, turn into a dinosaur right now. Like, if you can't turn into a dinosaur right now and you believe, either you don't really believe, so you're pagan, or God doesn't exist, and you believe in nonsense, or maybe you're trying to do this wrong because this isn't for you to choose, but rather for you to receive. All things are possible for you to receive. Like, you could even rise from the dead.
Well, yeah, no, I think that's right, and I think the way in which Luther kind of teaches this in the catechisms, especially the large one, is prayer. It eventually will kind of actually turn our hearts so that we are seeking the very things that God is promising to give. Right. Not that I'm asking for the winning lottery ticket, but that I'm asking for daily bread in the way in which my Lord is going to provide that. Right. So yes, I think the proper understanding of prayer is certainly needed or kind of alluded to in this section here. I like the juxtaposition. Oh man, I'm just pulling up giant words all
Big
over
word
the
day for
place.
you.
Yeah,
I'm really happy.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Sorry,
sophistry.
exuberant. I'm
a lot
exuberant.
of sophistry going on, I think. Anyways, I
Chair
think
is so squeaky.
I know, it's awesome. The editor's gonna have to do so much work on this. You've got the disciples who are supposed to be the disciples who are doing everything wrong here, right? And then you've got the guy who, like you said earlier, is running to Jesus as soon as he comes down the mountain. My assumption is the guy was off in his village doing whatever, heard that Jesus was around, ran out there, and was like, he's up on the mountain? Okay, you guys, could you do anything? Could you help out? Like, he didn't go there to see the disciples. He went there to see Jesus. Jesus happened to be up the mountain. Well, now he's coming down, and he's like, "Oh, all right, good. Get out of here, decide. I'm going to talk to the man who can actually maybe do something, right?"
Okay.
And so he goes there, and he says, "So this is the man who does believe. He's going to the right place where, again, I don't think the apostles were or disciples at this point, because they're not seeking for Jesus to be the one casting out demons. They're seeking to be the ones casting out demons. Right. So that shows kind of, disciple versus real disciple, or however you want to put that. But then also he does say the very thing that every single real disciple is going to come to an actual understanding of. Where as much as I do believe, I don't. I
Mhm.
doubt as much as I am sure, Lord, that you can do every single thing that you've promised to do. I doubt that it's actually going to happen for me right now. Right? I'm
Right.
going to pray it, but I'm terrified that it's not going to happen.
And it actually has to be simultaneous, that it's both and at the same time. It's not like hopping from one to the other, like I'm having a belief moment and then I'm having an unbelief moment,
Right.
but it is, I believe, help my unbelief. And that's actually what produces the anxiety. It's that tension that we hate, but is completely necessary for this thing to work, because there are people who are utterly and completely confident in things that do not work. Like, the disciples who tried and then couldn't cast the demon out, which was probably an awkward moment for them. And there are also people who are in abject faith, who at the same time are utterly astounded and lost, because they're unsure, because they doubt, because they worry.
Right.
It's a both and. You are simultaneously sinner and saint.
Yeah. And this is what this guy, the dad, is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, if you're able, or if you want, or God, you could do this. And if what is this if language?
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course, all things are possible. And it is that. Yeah, I absolutely know all things are possible. It's like Mary, right? At the tomb of Lazarus, right? Like, if you were here, right, he wouldn't have died. Well, then Jesus is like, yeah, but we're talking about the resurrection. She's like, oh, I know that the resurrection is going to happen, that on the last day we're all going to be raised
Mm-hmm.
again. But like, Lazarus is still in there stinking up the joint. Like, he's
See, this
dead.
is this is the issue, though, with all things are possible for one who believes, is we want to wrest that away from our Lord's hands, because like I got very different ideas for this than he does. And if I was allowed to pick all the things, I would pick very different ones. I want a life without a death first. I want stuff, and not a Jesus who dies on the cross. And so if I were allowed to employ this, I would do it radically different. And when we're told this promise, then all things are possible, but I'm going to be the one who does them for you. And that's humbling, because you don't get to be in control, and humbling because you don't get to choose, and humbling because you don't get to earn it. You just have to be given it. But that also means, though, that the person who's choosing them better be good. So the measurement then is actually a lot more freeing, because if you really could do all things, like, how would that go?
It wouldn't go very well.
You're mean to me without powers. Like,
I know. It's like that movie with Jim Carrey, Bruce Almighty, right? Or Evan Almighty. Which one was it? Bruce Almighty?
he's Bruce. Yeah,
It was Bruce, yeah.
that's Bruce.
It's got some issues, but it's interesting, right? Because his first day
It
as
just reckons with
God,
the idea that,
he's trying
yeah,
to
we would
fix it.
screw everything up
We would screw
with
it
the
up,
best
like
of intentions.
exactly. He's trying to fix everything, and he lets everybody win the lottery, and well, that doesn't work. Yeah, it's just kind of an interesting take on the whole thing. But you're right, we would screw it up, absolutely. Last thing, because we're kind of
Hmm,
running up on time here.
sure.
I'm curious did the guy die? Did the
Which
kid
guy?
die? Is he dead? I
No,
think he's dead. I don't
no,
know. I don't know,
that's
man.
radical.
That's
No,
radical. I don't know. The language is close there,
he
man.
arose. It says he arose.
I don't know.
Oh, you think he died and then resurrected?
Right.
Okay, as long as he's alive at the end, I'm cool.
Yeah, not dead at the end. No, that Jesus is. I'm curious. Like, yeah,
I'm cool with
it
it.
looks like he's dead. I'm just curious if he is. And
Yeah.
then, like, the language that's being used there, right? Like,
Well, but
he
that's how he
looks.
treats
He
actual
looks.
dead people.
Yeah, but everybody is like that, right? He looks like a dead person, right? The
Right.
masses are saying he has died.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus takes him by the hand and raises him up, and he arose. Like,
It could be. Like, there was
that's
a little girl who died, and everybody's like, you don't even need to come anymore. She's dead. And Jesus is like, nah, just sleeping.
right.
Why is it different? Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm curious
What's the
if
difference?
John. I don't know.
To the
There's
faithful, there's no difference between death and a little nap.
no, there isn't. But
I like you pointing it out, though. I really do. I'd never thought about that.
to what's happening here, I think there
Yeah.
might be a little bit. It's the same thing as
Skosh.
Lazarus being pulled out of the tomb. Like, there is a difference.
Basically like when my alarm went off this morning.
No, but there is a difference, right? It's the whole reason why
100%.
Jesus heard that Lazarus was sick and was like, yeah, I'm just gonna hang out here for a couple more days.
You guys want tacos? Like,
Right, exactly. And then he goes once he's dead and rotting to really prove that he's got victory over death itself. I don't know. Maybe the kid isn't dead. Maybe he's really close to be dead. Whatever the case, he had a demon in him, so we have that whole idea of spiritually dead and being exercised of that by Christ himself.
Yeah.
Anyway,
same old is death and resurrection.
right. Even if it isn't a literal one, it certainly points death and resurrection language.
That's literal in the same sense that, in the same way that your baptism is an exorcism, it is also a literal death and resurrection because you're united to Christ in his death and resurrection. There's a lot of stuff here. Yeah. Huh.
I don't know.
Neat.
I guess we're at, huh? We're done?
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe.
Fine.
You are listening to a Higher Things production. Higher Things is a 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to make the gifts of Christ Jesus known to youth and young adults through gospel-rich content like you are about to hear. Consider joining our supporters who make this ministry possible by donating at higherthings.org/giving or by clicking the link in the show notes. And now, Higher Things presents The Uncultured Saints with Pastors Eli Lietzau and Harrison Goodman.